Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the Energized Impact podcast series, where we're going to be talking about a lot of different things revolving around the fitness community that you can help implement and you can gain knowledge on in case you might have been lacking in a couple of spots. We're going to be talking about the nutrition side, fitness side, as well as just overall mental wellness and how these healthy habits can transition from thought patterns to being successful staples in your daily life, whether it be in the kitchen or when you're out and about working on critical tasks in your life. So a little bit about me is, much like a lot of people in the fitness world and a lot of people in the fitness industry and a lot of even personal trainers, we were athletes ourselves at one point. So a lot of the strategies that we talk about and a lot of the things that we implement with helping other people along in their fitness journeys and in their health journeys is we look at, what worked with us, what really helped us take ourselves to the next level in our craft. It started with a young age for me. I was playing football and any sport that I could really get into from the time I was a young adolescent, and that really helped shape my knowledge in this field. It really helped me understand that in order for me to perform my best on a daily basis, I need to feel my best. And in order to feel my best, I need to make sure I'm taking the necessary precautions and preemptive actions, whether it be in my diet or my training style, to really help me take it to that next level. And it took me a long time to realize that the nutrition side was a huge staple. Like, I'm like most people, most young college athletes, we think all we need to do is train. All we need to do is lift and move some weight and we're going to be successful. But the dietary needs are what complements the fitness aspect. You can never out-train a bad diet, but you can still make gains when you're on a good diet with light supplemented lifting. The reason I started the Energized Impact series is because I understand that a lot of us have been misguided. A lot of us have been lied to, and a lot of us are getting fed some misinformation in hopes that we're going to buy a product or we're going to buy something from a company because we think it's going to take us to the next level. And simply, that's not the case, man. So the whole point of this Energized Impact podcast and this brand is to bring the knowledge to you guys so you can help gain that base so that you can move forward in your life at a healthier pace, at a more optimal performance level that would fit your daily lives. At the end of the day, in order to set yourself up for long-term success within this realm and within this industry of the fitness world, you need to be informed, you need to be knowledgeable. And that's going to start with understanding exactly what it takes to construct a healthy diet. And that's what we're going to get into today, is talking about different dietary fads that we go through, the different information that you guys might receive, or, just the regular misconceptions that are brought to us and brought to the light and majorly supported by the media because it helps gain some revenue within this industry. So right now we're going to break it down and we're going to start transitioning into our first segment of the day where we're going to break down the essentials of your diet, right? We all had those elementary school classes where we looked at that stereotypical, that my plate. It breaks it down for you. Quarter of the vegetables, quarter grains, quarter protein, and a quarter fruit with a little glass of milk on the side, right? Now, this isn't a completely bad way to look at your diet. It's important to understand portion sizes that you should be looking for and the portion sizes you should be aiming to hit with these food groups that you generally cook with and you need to survive. But the biggest thing is we got to break down where exactly these calories in our diet are coming from. What are we eating that are satisfying these food groups that we need in our diet? What are we eating that's allowing us to feel the energy we need in our day-to-day lives? And the three most common food groups that are going to provide us energy in our day-to-day lives are our proteins, our fats. So we've already talked about the fact that these are the three staples you need. So let's break it down a little further and talk about your carbohydrates, for example. Your carbohydrates are what's going to break down in your body into simple sugars, which are going to get absorbed by your bloodstream and are going to allow you to get that quick little energy boost. Now, you might sit there and think that there's no difference between a white rice or a brown rice when you're shopping, besides maybe a little bit of a price difference. And it's easier to always go for that 10 cents cheaper, that 15 cents cheaper item, especially when you're balling on a budget, trying to be healthy, but trying to maintain that bank account. So these grains that you're consuming, right? Where are they coming from? Are they refined grains or whole grains? And if you don't know the answer to that, that's probably part of the problem right there. these refined grains are going to be a lot more appealing to us because of the price, or maybe even just because of the taste, right? When you go to the store, are you getting white bread or are you getting wheat bread? Are you getting a white wrap or are you getting a wheat wrap? Maybe even a spinach wrap. Now, the difference, to break it down to you, the difference between a refined grain versus a whole grain is that your refined grains, they're going to be milled. They're going to be processed. They're going to remove the bran and the germ from the carbohydrate itself. So when it removes this bran and the germ from the carbohydrate, what happens is that substance right there, what you're consuming, is going to give you the calories but you're not going to be getting the fullest out of what you're eating. But the downside is it also removes dietary fiber, iron, and many B vitamins from that substance. That's going to lead us into our next section, where we're going to talk about another huge portion of your diet. When you're looking at the fats that you need in your diet, you're going to get them from several different areas. You're going to get your saturated fats, you're going to get your unsaturated fats, and you're going to get your trans fats, which are just a sub-branch of your unsaturated fatty acids. Now, the biggest thing that's most crucial to your diet are these fatty acids. These fatty acids are the most energy-dense nutrients in your diet. So depending on where you're at geographically in the world is going to be huge influencing factor on your diet. The Nurses' Health Study took a large and studied the substitution of energy based on fatty acids they were consuming. So by substituting a mere 5% of the energy coming from saturated fatty acids within the diet and substituting them with monosaturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids, they actually were able to reduce the risk of coronary heart disease by 42%. Now, if you're listening, there's a good chance that you're probably sitting there asking yourself, well, Drake, what the hell's the difference between a saturated fatty acid, a monosaturated fatty acids, and a polyunsaturated? What we are going to talk about is the foods that you can find these sorts of fats in so that you can help implement those into your diet. So when it comes to the saturated fats, the ones you really want to limit yourself to and kind of not stay away from, but just be more conscious about the decision on how much of it you're actually intaking at a time. The foods that are highest with saturated fatty acids are generally your meats, your porks, your beefs, Also, though, it's a lot of dairy products, whether it be made from whole or reduced fat, your butters, and even your cheeses. Those are all high contributors to your saturated fatty acid levels. You can look at cooking with things and cooking with foods from the monounsaturated fat side, which includes your nuts, your avocados, even your olive oil and your canola oil. So even making the slight change from cooking anything in a pan with butter to using just a little bit of canola oil or maybe a little bit of olive oil can make all the difference in how you feel and your energy levels as well as your overall health. And this is where the polyunsaturated fats come into, is when you're looking for dietary needs. Say you need to cut back on that saturated fat intake in your diet, but you are a carnivore. You can substitute this with your fishes and your flax seeds and things like that. Anything that's really high in omega-3s is going to be what comprises your polyunsaturated fat. So your best bet, if you need to mix it up and change it up, don't always eat beef. Don't always eat chicken. Switch up your diet. That's that ability to be flexible with your diet and change things up so you're not eating the same consistently bland food or eating the same things so that your mind and your stomach get bored of it. You no longer have an appetite, and that's generally what causes people to fall off. So these are healthy alternatives that you can make to the day-to-day saturated fats that we intake, whether it be the beef or the lamb or the chicken or any of the dairy needs. We can always find an alternative and find a way around it. And that's the beauty in dieting. That's the beauty in nutrition, is there's no one set way to do things. The fun thing about us is just like our fingerprints, it's the same way for your intestinal tract. Your intestinal tract has different levels. It is essentially your body's internal fingerprint. And what makes that so wonderful is the fact that what might work for somebody else won't work for you, but what might work for you might not work for somebody else. So it's all about taking that time to experiment. Be a scientist with it, challenge yourself, find new ways to make food, find healthy ways to make food. Don't just settle for the common thing and the known thing. Venture out in the unknown. Make your meal prepping be a little more exciting and a little more fun to you because you're going out and trying new things. Hell, look at Pinterest, man. Pinterest has all the bomb recipes that you could need to live a healthy lifestyle. And the thing is, these recipes aren't set in stone. You can always say you have an allergy. You can take something and change it. All I have to say is be creative with your diet. Be creative with your nutrition. Work with what's around you. And that's going to cover enough of the fatty acids in our day-to-day lives. Now let's take a look at something that makes up the biggest part of all of our diets, and that's our protein consumption, right? And here's the thing. This is something that's key for so many factors in your body's development and body's growth, as well as the muscle recovery, because of the amino acids that make up the food. These amino acids break down and aid in your body's tissues' ability to recover from a speed standpoint to a stability standpoint. So even though it's enhancing your recovery time, it's also making recovery time so much more effective. Now, when it comes to your proteins, what do you have to look at, right? You have to look at, to understand how much protein you actually need in a day, you need to look at yourself and look at your body weight and understand where it is that you want to go with it. You can't sit there and you got to be rational with it. You can't just sit there and be like, I'm about 200 pounds right now. I want to be 150. Let me see how much protein I need and how much protein I need to cut out, carbohydrates I need to cut in and cut out. So you need to sit there and you really need to understand the math that goes behind it and calculating your diet to a smaller level. When it comes to your protein, look at your body weight. Say you're 220 pounds. Or the study that I looked at earlier today by Hermansen, a Nordic professor in the dietary field, he was talking about what is the appropriate maximum protein intake based on your body's need. And to understand that, you need to understand your weight. And it's going to sound a little weird here because I know some of us might not be familiar with the kilograms and the grams chart because we're over here with the pounds. But the way Hermansen put it is for an 80 kilogram individual. An 80 kilogram person is about 176 pounds. So Hermansen said for somebody that's 80 kilograms, they should have a corresponding 176 grams. What do you see that's similar about that? Transfer that 80 kilograms into pounds, that's 176 pounds. So for every pound that you should be looking at getting a subsequent gram of protein in your body. So in Hermansen's study, he looked at 3 huge factors that are supposedly debated when you're considering your protein intake, and that's the role of the dietary protein for the risk of coronary heart disease, your weight control, and renal disease. So let's look at the biggest thing here, and a lot of people are going to be looking for insight and knowledge, but a lot of people are looking at it for a weight loss, right? So if you're looking at upping your protein to help you with your body weight management, Hermansen found that short-term weight loss amongst obese and overweight subjects, there was an increase in short-term weight loss. But for long-term data for a year or more, they haven't really been able to find anything that supports this continued acceleration for body fat loss and body weight loss. But the short-term effect of this that we see with the short-term weight loss being increased in obese and overweight subjects shows us that these proteins have a higher chance of affecting us short-term, the greater satiety of it and the thermogenetic effect of proteins versus carbohydrates. All that's saying, I get that's a lot of fancy schmancy words that are a little big, but what that's pretty much telling us right here is that the way proteins interact with our body when we're digesting it is it kind of heats us up. It kind of gets us going and allows our metabolism to kick up a few notches. And that's what's really going to aid us in our weight loss, because at the end of the day, the metabolic rate is what dictates your caloric intake, because your metabolic rate shows you what it is that you can digest and your body should be obtaining at a natural level, to natural plateau with itself. And that's where it comes into why diets are so crucial and why diets are so looked at, because these diets and these trends and these nutrition facts that we obtain are looking at what can we do to fit this version of what can I do to make myself look and feel the best I can possibly feel and look. And so we get a lot of misconceptions stating that you need to be low carb if you're trying to cut weight. You need to lower your calorie intake. Well, at the end of the day, you just need to watch what you're eating and see where the calories you're consuming are coming from. And that's understanding. So after you understand all this and understand that your metabolic rate is so crucial in your development, as well as where these calories in your diet are coming from are so crucial, the next thing you need to look at is what type of lifestyle are you living? Are you living a sedentary lifestyle where you're not moving too much? Or are you constantly out and about, constantly on the go, constantly running around, exercising, looking for a way to be your fittest self, to be your best self, or are you looking for a way to perform at an extreme level when it comes to athletic ability, whether that be powerlifting, whether that be running track, whether that be playing football? And that's what, all right, and with that last comment, we're going to go ahead and segue into our first guest tonight, Mr. Brady Barefoot, who's joining us today. He is a dual sport athlete here at Bridgewater College doing both football and track. He's majoring in health and exercise science with his minor being in strength and conditioning, concentration in strength and conditioning. As well as that, he's also in the process of getting his 2 certifications, his CSCS, which is College Strength and Conditioning Coach, as well as his USAW, which is the USA Weightlifting, which is a national governing body overseeing the sport of weightlifting within the United States. Now, Brady, thank you for taking time out of your day to come talk to us. Now, with my first question, man, I just wanted to ask you, when was it that you started really taking your nutrition serious?
It was probably, I would probably have to say right after my senior year of high school, because I really wanted to gain weight for football because I was only maybe 170 pounds coming out of college, and I knew that I needed to gain weight, but I needed to do it a healthy way so that I wouldn't get slow and I wouldn't get, my agility wouldn't go down and stuff like that. So I took it serious probably, like I said, right after my senior year.
All right, so when you started taking it serious, what was the most important factor when you were looking at breaking down your diet on how to make sure that you were gaining that weight healthy and not losing your speed in the process?
I think the biggest thing I did was meal prep. Meal prepping is a big thing for me in any off season. It's kind of hard for me to do it during season, but during the off season, I really just cooked chicken, rice, and greens as much as I could and meal prepped it, 5 days a week. And then I normally had like 1 or 2 cheat days in there because I was out of season, but in season, I don't really try to cheat as much.
So when you were in the off season, you talked about the chicken, the broccoli, and the rice and all that. So did that change at all when you got into season, or did you kind of try and keep the levels of the carbohydrates and the proteins similar throughout both off season and in season?
I try to, during season, I would probably increase my intake just a little bit. I wouldn't increase too much. I wouldn't want to gain too much weight. That way I would get, slow or anything like that. So I would probably just up it maybe a couple ounces or something like that. Nothing too serious though.
So the most crucial thing, it sounds like, is protein was probably very crucial in this development, as well as the carbs seem to be a staple. Now, we know that you're a track athlete as well. Now, was there any specific breakdown of your macros when you came to look at it, or did you even really not pay attention to that? Did you just focus on maintaining what made you feel the healthiest?
For track, you don't want to gain weight. You don't want to have excess fat on your body. So I would really try to maybe lower it just a little bit. For instance, this past track season, I also took a mass gainer in between like weeks to substitute some food and stuff like that. What I would try to do is if I had a meet maybe Saturday or Friday, I would try to carb load Wednesday and Thursday. So then going into the meet that I'd be totally ready to roll with a bunch of energy.
Okay, so you see carbs produced a large spike with how your energy felt within this race. So is there anything else that you kind of looked for when it came to the breakdown besides your carbs for any sort of energy?
For energy, I just kept it with carbs. For recovery, I definitely kept it with proteins because I loved how I felt after I got a good workout and I got some proteins like some chicken and maybe some broccoli in me. And then after that, just relax and settle down.
So we know that the protein and the carbs are huge staples. Now, did you take any precautions or preemptive measures when it came to your fatty acids and your fats in your diet between, whether it be football season or track season or even in your off season?
Definitely in the off season, I would uptake a lot more in my fats because fats would burn first throughout your energy systems. So a large amount of fats in your body will create more energy for you and stuff like that, and they burn the longest. So out of season, I did that because I worked out, 2-3 times a day. So I needed a lot of energy, and I needed that to boost me throughout the day.
For sure. Thank you, man. So is there anything you want to sit there and say? So we know that you're a 2-sport athlete, and the whole purpose of this podcast and the series is to talk about and give information to those that are looking to start their fitness journey, looking to take care of their bodies, and looking to pretty much maintain and find their healthiest version of themselves. Is there anything that you want to sit there and say, even though your levels were kind of measured to a T, is there any crucial breakdowns that you want to give to somebody that maybe is just your average American, average college student that's just trying to look to be their healthiest version?
I would definitely say watch what you eat. A lot of people say, big critics say that, you are what you eat. So if you're eating a bunch of junk, you're eating, sweets and stuff like that, then, you're not going to be the best person that you could be. When I started measuring out my stuff to do, like the food and stuff like that, like it really helped me realize that, this is the type of stuff I need in my body to, look good, perform good, and do the best that I can.
All right, I just wanted to take the time to say thanks, Brady, man. Thank you for coming out. I know you're busy with being in season, and I know you got a big game coming up this weekend, man.
Yes,
it's
sir.
homecoming.
Yes, sir.
Go Eagles.
Hell yeah.
Thank you again, man, and I hope you enjoy your night. And that's actually going to segue us into our next section where we're going to talk about and focus on the dieting aspect and what exactly dieting is. We hear this term all the time, and we hear it used and thrown around so much like, I'm about to start this new diet, right? But what exactly is it? When you look at the definition of a diet is to restrict oneself to small amounts or special kinds of food in order to lose weight. As we see by the study with Hermanson, that you don't really need to restrict yourself so much to lose weight as much as you just need to understand the qualities of foods you're getting. Look at the vegetables, man. Are your vegetables light in color or are they dense? Are they nutrient dense? What I mean by nutrient dense is what type of color are they giving off, man? Broccoli, spinach, and Brussels sprouts are some of the most nutrient-dense foods that you can consume. Yet we take them for granted. So when we look at our diets, the truth about it is no set diet's going to work for anybody. At the end of the day, dieting is just a fad. We look at the things that come and go. Like in the past couple of years, keto has come up. The ketogenic diet is just a high-fat, adequate protein, low-carbohydrate diet. Now, this can be problematic because when it's not followed right, you're going to be lacking in your protein intake. That's going to cause your iron to come down. When you sit there and lower your carbohydrates, you're going to feel lower energy throughout your day, regardless of how high your diet is in fat. So when you have these low carbohydrate diets, you're running a dangerous risk because you're putting yourself in a scary situation because your glycogen and your glucose levels are going to be immensely down, as well as you're just not going to have the energy to go about your day as well as you want. And this affects so many aspects of your life outside of a fitness one. That affect day-to-day life because your energy levels are going to be low. You're going to lack the motivation to go do what you know needs to be done. You're just simply not going to have that drive, that fire going because you're not feeling it. So you have to be careful when you do these diets, whether you want to try something out or not. That it's perfectly fine to experiment. That's what you want to do. You want to see what quote-unquote diet, what nutritional lifestyle works best for you and benefits your body and your mind both to the maximum potential. That's all this is about. That's all when you dive into fitness and nutrition and exercise. All it's about is pushing yourself to become the best possible version of yourself and become essentially, as my Dragon Ball Z fans would say, become Super Saiyan in this boy. Now your nutrition is going to play a key part. Your training is going to play a key part. But if one thing's off, you're not going Super Saiyan no more. You're going like a little light Majin Buu on it. The most crucial thing you need to look at in a diet before you decide to up and do it is, does it fit your necessary needs, man? What is going on in your life right now? Where are you at in your life? Where are you at in your fitness journey? Where are you at? And what do you really need right now? And the diets are going to be affected by several things. A lot of us have allergies. A lot of us have things that cause us to be restricted, man. There's so many people who can't eat gluten. There's so many people who can't eat nuts. And you need to look at ways, and that goes back to the first segment where we talked about the fact that fatty acids, looking at the alternatives that you can influence to get better value out of the calories you're eating and consuming, comes across and follows you straight to your diet, man. Like, even when you got these dietary restrictions, how are you going to make sure you're being healthier and being your healthiest you while you're going about your business and going about your day? When you sit there and when you choose to introduce something into your body, you need to understand you're going to have an adjustment period. Just like anything else you do in life, you're going to have to adjust to it. You're going to have to find that equilibrium within your diet, and that's going to come from about a week or two of playing with it and understand fluctuations with your body, with your headspace, with your energy levels, understanding your body to a sound level so that you can maximize your output. So that's where you're going to want to look at your foods that are nutrient dense. That's where we're going to go back to what we talked about in the first thing. You're going to want to look for those whole grains, not the refined grains, the whole grains. And even when you come into your protein levels, how much fat is in your protein? Are you going for the beef that's about 60-40, or are you going for the beef that's 95% lean, 5% fat? That's all such small factors that we can overlook if we're not paying conscious attention to it. But those small, minute details are what's going to bring us to the next level. That's what's going to allow us to hit this final evolution and go Super Saiyan as we want to do in our training or in our day-to-day lives. In order to perform our best, we need to feel our best, and that's going to start with how we fuel ourselves. You got to look at it, man. Your body's much more than a machine. Ultimately, you want to do what's going to make you feel the healthiest, what's going to make you feel the best, what's going to make you perform the best, because ultimately that's what's going to make you go out for the long-term success. Once you find the balance and hit these minute details to a T, man, it's game-changing. You're not even going to feel like the same person. You're not even there, and if you stick to it, it's going to be a lot easier to stick to, man, because guess what? When you sit there and do anything in your life and you do it in repetition and you get in the habit of it, it becomes so much easier. It becomes second nature because you've been doing it so long, and that's where the discipline is going to come down in your nutrition to make the decisions of, do I want to go out on Friday and get blasted, or do I want to sit there, go to the gym, prep up a nice little dinner for me and the missus, me and the mister, whatever it is? What small choices are you making? The response to a shitty diet is a lot of things go subsequently wrong. You know, your training starts lacking. Your mental clarity, your cognition seems to fail. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to feel our best, be our best, look our best, and perform our best. But being conscious about the decisions we make lead to so much more success and so much more balance in our lives. It's not just us going through emotions. The training is easy. Man, the training is easy. It may not be in the time, but that is the easiest thing you can do to benefit you. The kitchen is where it becomes hard because we get bored, plain and simple. But we're addicted to results, so we want to do what's best for us. We want to continue to grow, and what you need is the knowledge, the information, and the necessary tools to go to that. The biggest thing, man, and that's what we're going to talk about with Mike here in a second, is how can you stay on a diet, man? Like, we see these people that joke about it. They're on the quote-unquote bro diet, right? What's that? That's the chicken, rice, and broccoli. Now, we got so many people that are on this, but that's such a bland, tasteless thing. How do you stay disciplined to the movement? How do you stay disciplined to yourself and hold yourself accountable? And up next, we got our second speaker of the night here to discuss with us how to make dieting a little bit easier. We have Zach Atkins with us. He's been within the fitness world because of athletics for about 10 years, although he admits that, you know, he only started taking it serious about 5 years ago once he got into the college level. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right into it. So Zach, a lot of people, we've talked about it before with people coming to you about their diets and talking to you about, you know, how come they're not seeing results with it. So I want to ask you, since you've been around it, what do you think the common mistakes in dieting and eating healthy are with these people, and why aren't they seeing the results they want?
I think some of the most common mistakes that people are making nowadays is, you know, they're focused way too much on what just the scale says. And they're not really focused on what their body's telling them and how they're feeling. And they think the fact that they're constantly feeling hungry and uncomfortable is just, you know, surviving the pain, no gain. But in reality, that's not really the case. You want to take care of yourself. You want to be healthy because that's how you're going to get the best results. It takes time. You can't just do it overnight. You can't just starve yourself and turn into a skeleton.
Oh, for sure. And besides focusing on the scale, you know, what else is some of the things? Because I know from experience, we got a lot of people that come up to us and say, you know, their energy's feeling low or certain things are just not rocking with them when it comes to their diet. And that's kind of why they fall off the wagon and they start going back to the McDonald's, the Burger King.
I mean, once you get into some of these crazy diets that people are on nowadays where, you know, they just cut carbs completely out and they do crazy stuff like that, that's when it starts becoming unhealthy. These people think that it's working out for them because they're seeing immediate results, but it's not really the healthiest case.
So what you're saying to me is that a lot of people are kind of going unhealthy with it because they're looking at the immediate gratification of seeing the results, seeing their body change in front of their eyes, even though internally they might be kind of screwing themselves.
Struggling. Sick. They're feeling it for sure. All the people on the keto diet and all that, they're struggling.
So they're driving the struggle bus. And these people come to you and talk to you about this. You know, what do you offer them to counter those mistakes when it comes to focusing on the scale and just kind of focusing on that instant gratification?
with this is it just takes time. That's all it is. You got to put in the effort. You got to be willing to wait and work for the results and do it the right way, the healthy way, because that's the only way to do it. There's other ways that people do it, but it's just, it doesn't work out for them because they end up just being sick in the end.
You said that this happened with you, and at some point you weren't that knowledgeable on it.
Yeah.
So what did it take to really kick you in gear and making sure that you were maintaining and keeping your body sound and performing at its optimal level?
Well, I fell into the old classic trap of, I want to lose some weight, so I'm just not going to eat as much. I'm going to go work out on an empty stomach, and I'm going to run, and I'm just going to not eat as much. That's what I was always told when I was, being raised. You want to lose weight, you cut back on the food, but it turns out that's not really the case, man. You got to be healthy. You got to get your carbs in there. You got to get your proteins, your fats, your fruits, your vegetables. You need all that stuff.
So you all cut back, huh?
Oh, yeah. I completely stopped eating, man. Like, I didn't completely stop eating, but like, as for meals, I'd probably eat twice a day, which is awful.
Yeah, that's not too healthy. It's kind of hard to maintain that base value with 2,000 calories in 2 meals because those are some awfully big meals, man. So with all that and gaining that information, what can you do and what did you do, for example, to hold yourself accountable in your journey to make sure that you were maintaining the healthiest version of yourself?
Well, rather than eating just a large meal in the morning and a large meal at night, I started spreading them out and just eating 500 to 800 calorie meals here, there throughout the day. And I felt better. I felt healthier. My mind felt sharper. I felt quicker on my feet. My body felt better. I was just genuinely in a happier mood. And I do wholeheartedly believe that it was because of making that big change.
And I'm sure even when you made that change, man, you were tempted to fall off the wagon. You were tempted with the juiciness of a fat burger or something like that. So what really made you, what did you do to hold yourself accountable in this time? Because I guarantee nobody was looking at you and managing what you were eating. Nobody was telling you, hey, don't eat this, don't eat that. Like, I don't think you had a certified nutritionist by your side. So
not at all.
What things did you take into account so that you could stay on track, stay consistent, and make sure that you were doing what's best for you?
Well, for me, it was just, look forward to that cheat day, pretty much. And there's this restaurant in my hometown that makes the juiciest burgers. And you talking about that reminded me of it. It's called Spelunkers. And they make tavern burgers and shakes. And it's literally the best restaurant I've ever eaten at in my entire life. Every Sunday, that's where I would eat at.
So you would reward yourself for those 6 days of eating clean and staying consistent and staying on track with a nice, juicy
burger, fries, and a shake. Once a week.
Hey, man, nothing beats it. So coming back to that, it's easy to fall off. It's easy to say, I'm too tired to meal prep, and it's easier to just be on the go and grab things as you're out and about. So what are some tips and tricks that you did? What are some of the tips and tricks that you used and implemented to help you stay consistent in both your meal prep game as well as just in your diet and fitness life in general?
Well, for me, I didn't even really meal prep that often. I would cook for myself once in a while, but mainly what I would do is I would just try to make the healthier choice whenever I had the opportunity to. So, at school, instead of getting that cookie, I'm getting an apple. Just make healthier choices for your body whenever you get the opportunity to be healthy. Because, in high school, in college, there's always going to be opportunities to eat unhealthy food. And it's not always a bad case to take that opportunity, but you don't always want to do it. You don't want to make a habit out of it. You want to make a habit out of picking that banana, picking up that apple, getting that chicken, getting that fish, getting that red meat. There's so many important concepts when it comes to eating and diets that people just don't understand.
For sure, man. So you definitely, you took it upon yourself to make sure you were making those conscious, healthy decisions with every step throughout the day, because maybe you weren't meal prepping. You were just using the resources that you had available around you, and you were making those conscious decisions. That's the most important part, man. It's not always gonna be convenient to meal prep. And if you are one of the select few that take the time out of your day, out of your week to prep up your meals for that week, man, take the time to reward yourself with that. Make sure that you are enjoying the process that you are starting and jumping into, because that's the biggest thing that's going to help us stay consistent and stay on track. Is how are you taking your prep time? Are you sitting there dreading it and like, damn, man, I got to cook again? Or are you sitting there like, bet, let me throw on my jams, let me throw on my playlist and get groovy with it as I'm whipping up these meals for the week? It is so crucial to make sure you are having fun with it. And I want to sit there and say, thank you, Zach, for taking the time out of your day to come talk with us and share with us, what it is that you do to make sure that you are being the healthiest version of you, as well as talk about the past that might be a little bit hard to admit and open up about, because we all want to sit there and say that it's the hard work that got us to this level, but sometimes that's not the case. And I appreciate the openness and honesty, because that's going to help some of these viewers see that it's okay to struggle. It's okay to go through these rough spots in time, but ultimately it's up to you to make that decision to take your health to the next level, to take your life to the next level. And with that being said, man, we're going to introduce our next talker, or our next speaker right now, and that's Mike Barbados, who here is a certified nutritionist and wellness coach. And he's out here killing the game, helping people stay addicted, stay dedicated to their cause, stay dedicated to themselves. And ultimately, he's here to help us about how we can help you guys stay dedicated, stay down for your diets. Don't give up on it. Don't give up on yourself, because you are much stronger than you might sit there and believe and perceive. But you just got to find that niche. You got to find that groove with it. That's all it is. At the end of the day, you just got to find your groove. And that's what we're here to talk about and here to discuss, is let us help you find your groove when it comes to being in the kitchen and when it comes to dieting. Because that's the hardest battle to stay on. That's the hardest battle to stay in. That's the hardest battle to win. But we're here to help you guys set up yourselves up for success through different things, whether it be common mistakes that we make when we prep, how to counter those mistakes, and even some tips and tricks that me and Mike both use to keep us consistent and dedicated to our grind. So all in all, man, I appreciate everybody for tuning into this first episode of the Energized Impact podcast series. And to recap what we went over, man, we talked about a lot of different things today, but the main concept was about your nutrition and your overall health and well-being, man. We talked about how to break it down from the fats you're consuming, the carbohydrates you're consuming, the proteins you're consuming, to even giving you a couple tips and tricks on how to stay successful in the kitchen and prep yourself for success. And I want to wrap up with this, man. No matter what journey you're on right now, no matter where you're at in your life, it's okay to feel a little lost. It's okay to feel a little confused. Maybe you don't have the knowledge. Maybe you don't have the information necessary to be successful right now. But don't give up. You are a lot stronger than you believe. You are a lot stronger than you perceive. You can continue to push past any obstacles that are in your way. And remember to keep your head up throughout it and keep looking around, man. There's some other people around you right now probably going through the same journey that you're going through. Lean on each other. Reach out to each other. Build that support system to set yourself up for success, because that's the most crucial thing. For when you get down, you got people around you to hold you accountable. And that's going to set you up long term for more than just overall health benefits, man. That's going to set you up in life for a happier, healthier life and a happier, healthier mentality. Ultimately, no matter what you're facing, no matter what you're going through, I want y'all to remember one thing before we get out of here. Every day that you wake up is not an obstacle. Every day that you wake up is an opportunity to set a new standard for yourself, set a new standard for those around you, and set a new bar, and set some new goals that you can crush and you can dominate, because that's what you are. You are somebody that is a go-getter, man. You are a lot more than anything you can perceive. Don't sell yourself short. Don't get discouraged just because the journey gets hard. It's just the beginning, man. And I promise you, build that support system. Find those around you that are going to grow with you, and find these people that are going to help you out. Lean on people when times get hard. Help yourself stay more accountable. As always, I hope everybody has a wonderful night, wonderful day. Enjoy what you are doing. Enjoy the moment you are living in, and enjoy everything that life has to offer you right now, because no matter how dark it seems, there's always a light. And as always, when you reach out to somebody, make sure you're energizing that impact. Be easy, y'all.